Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Don Lazzari, president of Delivering Value, a sales performance consulting firm renowned for unlocking rapid business growth through disciplined, value-driven sales strategies. With a career spanning over 3 decades in technology, consulting, and sales leadership, Don has guided startups and established companies alike in building high-performance sales teams, redefining go-to-market strategies, and consistently exceeding growth targets. Don, welcome to Founders Future.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So
Sure.
take me on a little trip down memory lane to before you started delivering value. What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Sure. First of all, I sold technology and emerging technologies in a number of different markets up until 2010. My last full-time role, I was leading a team selling into the senior care industry with a solution that was a complex solution that helped with documentation and reimbursement. Enjoyed rapid growth there. We took the company from 250,000 to 22.5 million in 3.5 years. And
Wow.
that was effective
350,000 to 2.5 million in
22.5 million. Yes, 250,000 to 22.5 million.
how long?
3.5 years.
That would be a 100x.
Yeah, it's two
Wow.
orders of magnitude. Yes.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That's that.
it was a fun ride. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I can
It
imagine.
was. I mean, honestly, you don't get growth like that without a perfect storm.
Yeah,
We had a killer app that was just the right time in the market. And I was fortunate enough to find some very top shelf sales and marketing talent out there. And we put together a team that just got after it.
that's awesome. That's very similar to our story. I don't know if you've looked into it, but we went from 0 to 30 million in 26 months. I completely agree, but sorry I cut you off.
No worries, no worries whatsoever. So the impetus of starting my business was the fact that we were able to drive that much success, and then private equity got involved with the company and left me with nothing to show for it. So at that point, I left the company because they devalued all of our phantom stock. They did all the bad things that you hear about
Ah,
private equity.
yeah,
And at that point, I said, it's time for me to do something I've been wanting to do for a while. And that's when I started my own business. And that's when I started delivering value.
that's awesome. I like the name because when I ask when did you start delivering value, it's guy that's how this guy delivers value.
That was part of the intent, I can tell you.
Yeah, I like that. Let's fast forward to give the listeners more context.
Sure.
So, when it comes to delivering value, who would you say is your ideal customer? Are there specific industries, verticals? Walk me through that.
Currently, my ideal client would be really anyone that is in the B2B market space, that is a CEO or solopreneur that is looking to either build a team or step away from the day to day of managing a sales team, which many entrepreneurs in their early stages find themselves having to do. When
Mm,
I find companies like that where I have a CEO, and let me use a great example, one of my current clients, they sell medical imaging. They're a medical imaging dealer. They represent multiple brands. Their CEO, when he and I first spoke, he basically said, look, I'm a service engineer. I know how imaging works. I know how to grow an imaging company, but
mm,
I really can't be bogged down by the day to day of selling.
yeah,
That type of CEO is an ideal client.
I see. That's powerful. So, walk me through the different offers and services and how you actually work with them. Is it you're coming in and managing the team for them? You're building like it's done for you, done with you, do it yourself. Walk me through a little bit of that.
Sure. And let's use an example of a client that I worked with last year out of Pittsburgh. And what they did was they sold advanced alarms for sterilization rooms. So, sterilization gases, ETO, peracetic acid, hydrogen peroxide. And the team that was a team of 4 individuals. And when I got involved, I took the place of a person who was there prior, who really didn't have tech experience, who really didn't have good B2B experience. And we really transformed the way the team was managed. So what I did, and this is typical, do the Monday sales call with the entire team, make sure everyone's getting briefed, make sure any issues that need to be discussed across the team are handled. And then I did the weekly one-on-ones, which were 45-minute sessions with each of the sales reps. And a lot of that was the discussion of what's in their pipe, what's moving in the pipe, what's new to the pipe.
Got
To
it.
support that, put together things in CRM. In this instance, it was Salesforce. And Salesforce is what we see predominantly for good reason. It dominates the market. And we put together what I refer to as the sales vital signs that you need to manage the team. And those go into dashboards in Salesforce and show those views every Monday on the call, and then show the same dashboard for each individual on every one-on-one. And from there, it really becomes, okay, where do we need to focus? Do we need to focus on moving deals forward because you have a healthy pipeline? Or do we need to focus on feeding your pipeline more? Because if you want to produce consistently, you have to have what I refer to as pipeline pressure. So those vital signs help us to manage that sales performance of that individual, and then determine, what do we need to do? Do you need to spend more time prospecting? Do you need to spend more time leveraging contacts you might have at a plant level so you can get to corporate? What is it that you need to do to effectively get to the number?
Got it. Got it. Powerful. It sounds like you're coming in and you're taking over the sales management responsibilities end to end. Does that mean you can, two questions actually. One is, how long are you typically working with your clients? And two is, do you have an inherent cap to how many clients you can be bringing on at a particular time?
Let me answer your first question readily, because yes, there is a cap to the number of clients that I can take on at any given time. When I started the business, I had managed teams for decades. And when I started the business, I really wanted to be a solopreneur. And I've been that way for 15 years now, going on 16. So yes, there is a limit to what I can do as far as capacity. Now, my engagements range in different sorts of time spaces. The company I was telling you about in Pittsburgh, worked with them for 9 months. We put the sales vital signs into place, began coaching the team, decided who needed to be up or out on the team, and then made recommendations on the passing of the baton to the leadership team that would be coming in behind me. And they went to a different structure as a result of recommendations I made, where they structured around verticals and having vertical sales manager leads instead of just one overarching sales manager. And so I basically walked away at that point. My longest standing client, I already mentioned, they're a medical imaging company out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've been doing fractional sales management for them for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. Okay. So walk me through, when it comes to the back end of the business, how do you acquire your customers? What does your lead generation and marketing look like?
In the early days, it was networking, going to conferences where my prospective clients might be, doing outreach, just doing old-fashioned curb level prospecting in the early days.
Yeah.
And then it shifted after about a 5 to 6 year period. If you do, and I use this pun all the time, if I deliver value to my clients, then they typically tell their friends and their colleagues. And after about 5 years, word of mouth began to kick in. And I'd get a call from someone who said, "Oh, you worked with CEO XYZ from this company and he recommended you."
Cool.
But I've also coupled that rather with LinkedIn type of awareness creation, and over the last 15 to 18 months, a real push into podcasts, etc. And I also authored a book to support that.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. So I'm curious, Given that you have a capacity of how many clients you can bring on at a particular time, does the referrals and word of mouth typically fill that capacity, or do you find that it still falls a little bit short?
At times, I'm just like any other business where sometimes we're as busy as we possibly can be. And then at other times, it seems like that things just aren't lining up. Matter of fact, 2 years ago, I remember beginning 2023 with only maybe 50% of my available capacity. And that part of that was because of some things in the pipeline where there were management changes. Part of that was just for any number of different reasons at that time. However, not 3 months after that, I went from where I was to full capacity. One
Mm,
came through a referral, one just came through a source where they had seen an article that I'd written.
interesting. I'm super interested in your thoughts on this because I talk to a lot of different coaches, consultants, agencies, fractionals, like hundreds at this point. And a big topic for them is the idea of building predictable lead generation, having a predictable flow of leads. So, referrals, word of mouth, like you were saying, there's ebbs and flows. So, when you think about building predictability in your business, when it comes to lead flow, what are some thoughts that you have about things that you want to implement to build that predictability? I know you mentioned doing more podcasts, you wrote a book. I'm curious, is there anything else that you would add to that?
Oh, definitely. You've got to prospect just like you're a salesperson. And especially when you're the owner of the business,
Yeah.
because you're the face of the business and you need to send your emails and you need to make your outreach calls.
Yeah.
Those are just fundamentals that have been here for literally for decades, right?
Yeah.
Now, there are folks out there that want to scale on a much larger in a much larger fashion. And in that instance, I would recommend leveraging some of the AI tools that are out there to find the prospects, to tune your message, to get to things faster.
Mm,
And as part of that, also, there's got to be repetition. You're
yeah.
probably well aware of what the results are on prospecting. Most salespeople only knock on that door twice. You need to knock 6 or 7 times before they remember you,
Yeah.
then another half dozen times before you're really in a B2B sale, truly into an evaluation. It takes discipline, and they call it prospecting for a good reason because 99% of the time you're pulling up dirt.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that I started off in door to door because
Mhm.
now everything just seems like a piece of cake compared to that.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
cold calling is, oh, I get to sit in my comfortable chair and just call. It's pretty easy when you think about it.
Yeah,
Like
it's a lot easier than jumping in your car and going around and knocking on doors and leaving business cards and
100%.
talking to the receptionists and whatnot, if you can
Yeah.
even get through to them.
Yeah, and I was
So
asking
yeah.
people to sell their house. Like it took me 2,000 doors before I got my first deal.
Yeah,
That builds. I'm sure you know all about building that character and all that stuff.
sure.
Would you ever consider running paid ads?
I have in the past, but I'm not a fan of display advertising because I think it's very passive.
Mm,
I really think that active, more tailored outreach is better than things that are meant for a more wider general type of an audience.
yeah.
I think the it's difficult to go one to one, but you can certainly tailor things by market space. If I'm calling into medical imaging CEOs, they all pretty much have the same, if they're dealers, they all pretty much have the same problem sets.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
each one might have a different piece of it they want to sell. So that way, if you tailor it, I think you can be more effective, especially if you zero in on the top 2 or 3 things that tend to keep them up at night.
Yeah. I think you would have a very effective ad campaign, to be honest. On I get what you're saying with the passiveness, but I've seen
Mm.
so many sales agencies absolutely crush it with ads. We're
Yeah.
making close to 8 figures a year just from ads at a very healthy profit margin. But I'm curious, with that being said, what would be your vision? What ultimately, where are you looking to take this company? What's the ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal would be to continue to grow the company and then ultimately hand it off to one of my now adult children.
Okay, there you go.
So that would be the ultimate goal. But I don't think either of us are ready for that yet.
Fair enough.
Now,
Do you?
I do. My daughter does have a very successful entrepreneurial business, so I would not be handing it off to her. She was actually on Shark Tank 13 years ago and
Wow.
got a deal with Mark Cuban. She has an all natural body
Wow.
scrub
That's
business,
awesome.
Simple Sugar Scrubs. So, Simple Sugar Skincare.
That
But
is awesome.
that would be the ultimate. Or if it's not going to be someone in the family, handing it off to a protege.
Or a protege. I like that. So
Mhm.
just keeping it alive.
Yeah, keeping it alive.
Yeah.
I registered the trademark so I could actually do that if I decide to transition and give it to someone else. But I'm not ready to do that at this point in my life nor my career.
I like that. Do you have a revenue target for the next 12 months or maybe just 2025?
The revenue target is modest. We're looking at several 100,000
Okay.
for what we do, but being very small in a boutique, that
Yeah.
gets the billings to where things need to be. Um,
100%.
yeah, it's not like I have a revenue target of 1 million because I'd have to work a 70-hour week.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you ever think about bringing on other people that can handle the actual day-to-day? So somebody who,
I've had affiliates
yeah,
uh, that I'll pull in that aren't employees that will help if it outstrips my capacity. But as far as getting out of the day to day is really a big part of
yeah,
what keeps me doing what I'm doing.
yeah.
I,
I love
I,
that.
I really don't want to have a company with 10 employees and 100 customers
Fair, fair. I
because
bet
it has its own problem set.
for sure. So you wouldn't think about keeping doing what you're doing right now, but bringing on a protege, like you were saying, to essentially double capacity.
I could potentially, but that's really not something that has been on the short term radar.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Because frankly, right now, I don't have the protege that I think that could fill that role. I
Mm,
do think that there are some individuals that I've mentored for years now that once they get to a point where they've had their fill of what they're doing could very easily slip into the company and participate in a very meaningful way.
okay, there you go. Very cool. I'm curious what advice you would give to entrepreneurs that are looking to, or I guess new entrepreneurs in 2025 that are looking to step into the world of consulting
Mhm.
specifically. What advice would you give them if they're just starting fresh?
First of all, make sure that you've got some cash in the bank so that you don't put yourself in a squeeze.
Yeah.
I got that advice quite some time ago, decades ago, literally. And so at that point, I thought eventually I'm going to want to start my own business. So I started to put away the money that would allow me to the luxury of doing that. So when I did venture out to start my own business, I had enough in the bank to cover the mortgage and expenses for a year. That takes the pressure off,
I bet. A
very
year
much so.
rate is a nice cushion. 12 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. By that point, you should be to the point where you're, if nothing else, offsetting some, if not all of that at that point.
Yeah.
So that would be number one. Number two would be look for your niche. And I know in the some of the things in the prep materials talked about what did your business look like when you first started it, what were you offering, and what does it look like now? When I first started the business, I leveraged the connections that I had in the senior care industry with senior players in that industry, with owners and CEOs and whatnot. And to some extent, I was not a rainmaker, but someone that could very readily get individuals into meetings just based on my relationships. And then the business, after about 3 years, began to transition and pivot where I wanted to do a little more of the fractional sales management stuff, the coaching, because just personally, I get tremendous satisfaction from helping younger and less experienced people become successful.
Yeah.
I mentioned proteges earlier. Those are folks that over the last 15 years I've worked with that we still stay in close touch
That's awesome.
with each other. That it began to pivot, and then I'd say 7 years ago, roughly, it just became clear to me that was the best route to go. There are many entrepreneurial CEOs whose core competency is not sales.
Yeah.
It's tech or it is finance or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I can play a valuable role when it comes to being part of that company.
Yeah. I love that. What is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
Deliveringvalue.com,
Okay.
LinkedIn.
Awesome.
And clearly, if you can find my book, Entrepreneurs Sales Secrets Revealed,
Well,
out on Amazon or through my website. And all of my materials and how to get me published out on LinkedIn and on my website.
awesome. Any final words before we wrap up?
For anyone that's considering making the transition from full-time working W-2 for someone into consulting, I would give them the same advice that I got 15 years ago. Believe in yourself, jump in with both feet, and don't look back.
I love that. What a beautiful way to wrap up. Don, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Ammar. Looking forward to speaking with you in the future.
100%. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also, don't forget to go to deliveringvalue.com. You can also grab Don's book, Entrepreneur Sales Secrets Revealed, deliveringvalue.com. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or an agency, and you really want to scale your business and you're looking to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.